A positive attitude can really make dreams come true. It did for me. To get rich, you have to be making money while you're asleep. The best advice I ever got was that knowledge is power and to keep reading. Being handsome wasn't much of a burden. It worked for me. I always go for simplicity. The skull is nature's sculpture. People want security in this insecure world. I have always wanted to live in the present and never the past. Anybody can be a great photographer if they zoom in enough on what they love. If you're curious, London's an amazing place. My father was a tailor, my mother a machinist. Rather than knowing more, I think I've got more open-minded. You can't really copy what I do because I don't do anything. It takes a lot of imagination to be a good photographer. You need less imagination to be a painter because you can invent things. But in photography everything is so ordinary, it takes a lot of looking before you learn to see the extraordinary. All pictures are unnatural. All pictures are sad because they're about dead people. Paintings you don't think of in a special time or with a specific event. With photos I always think I'm looking at something dead. I've been used by women all my life, fortunately. London changes because of money. It's real estate. If they can build some offices or expensive apartments they will. It's money that changes everything in a city. The trouble with people like Tony Blair is they get confused. They think intelligence is education when they're two different things. I'm not a philosopher, I'm just a simple boy from East Ham. I never set out to be a photographer. All my ex-girlfriends or wives are all kind of great friends, and I've never understood somebody who can live with somebody for 5 or 6 years and then not like them. My exploits are nothing now to the average person. John Parsons, the gay art director at Vogue, really started my career. Being dyslexic, I was told that I was an idiot all the time. Instead of putting someone in prison for being a hooligan, give him a choice. He may have beaten someone up and he's got 8 years, but tell him you can do 8 years inside or spend 5 years in the army. Put him in the parachute regiment, they'd soon sort him out. I love learning new techniques. It's not about composition, it's the way you feel about how your objects should relate to each other. I've got lots of African statues and things, and the cleaner arranges them like soldiers, which drives me mad. So I have to rearrange them, and I must drive her mad, because I'm doing anarchy and she's doing military maneuvers. I never try to revolutionize photography, I just do what I do and keep my fingers crossed that people will like it. My friends are all megalomaniacs, from Damien Hirst to Jack Nicholson, all of them. I won't do advertising if they bring a layout and say, this is what we want to do, because anybody can do that. It's not interesting. They've got digital and the computer. It's not taking pictures, it's not magic, it's a picture done by committee. I was surrounded by strong women, so it had never even occurred to me that women were anything other than equal to men. If something becomes old-fashioned, it was no good to start with. Think about it. Michelangelo is not old-fashioned. It's only a few nutcases who do art for themselves, like Van Gogh. I was dyslexic, so I was put in the silly class at school. I suppose because my work was so popular people didn't really look at it. I love people for giving me their time. It's a privilege, I make the most of it. In New York, everyone's desperate for success, desperate for money and desperate to be accepted, but in London they're more laid back about things like that. I don't think my work does reflect my nationality. I don't like the idea of nationalism. The earth has a life of its own. Everyone gets old, there's nothing you can do about it. I could develop a picture by the time I was 12. I hate being so nostalgic about the 60s. I was a terrible father. The most I ever did for my children was to teach them chess. At least they got that. Rockers are the nicest people to photograph. They have no inhibitions. The first half of the 20th century belongs to Picasso, and the second half is about photography. They said digital would kill photography because everyone can do it, but they said that about the box brownie in 1885 when it came out. It makes photography interesting because everyone thinks they can take a picture. The reason I did fashion was it was the only way to get paid to do anything creative. You couldn't support yourself as an artist, I hate that word. The only way you could be arty was as a fashion photographer, because it still had a certain amount of integrity involved. I was 10 when I got my first serious beating. It was rough. I hate men who are in touch with their feminine side. I've always tried to do pictures that don't date. Kate Moss is the best thing since Jean Shrimpton, really. Visit our website for more quotes, quoting.com.